Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 9 at Keeneland on Saturday has some Kentucky Derby implications, perhaps, for a couple of horses. The 3 Sueno, the 4 Another Twist of Fate. They're in the bubble right now. They win this race, they might be able to get into the gate on the first Saturday in May. This is the Grade 3 Lexington Stakes. We're going a mile and a 16th. You can bet the Lexington, obviously, with DRF bets, and why wouldn't you? But you're also going to want to have your first post bonus on the preps by betting $25 to win on one horse in race number 1 at Keeneland and or Oaklawn, where the Arkansas Derby will be held on Saturday, and get a $10 bonus, win or lose. Learn more at drf.com/preps. Let's meet the field for the Grade 3 Lexington. Mike, let's take the field in post position order, beginning with the number 1 Shang, who's won his last 4 starts for trainer Steve Asmussen. He's got a nice route-oriented pedigree, great inside post position, good tactical speed, but he is taking on open company for the first time, and this is a giant step up in class. I do think this horse has some ability. Nice trip last time out, and then drew away when asked the question.
He's just a lot better than those horses. He was a 1-5 favorite. He won like a 1-5 favorite. Was supposed to win. That race was never in doubt after a good trip. Asmussen steps him up now, and I think this is sort of a situation where we'll just find out how good he is. This isn't the toughest 3-year-old stakes race you could find, but it's much tougher than what this horse has been running against. He pulled Irad to ride him. He's got a great post on the inside with tactical speed. I can see this horse taking a step forward.
First time route for the number 2 Hawaiian Noises, and while he is by Kentucky Derby winner Super Saver, I look at this bottom of the pedigree as mostly turf, synth, and sprint. Horses like Conquest Panthera and Maniacal. Some nice horses this dam has thrown, but I'm just not sure they're really mile and a 16th dirt horses. It is nice to know that this horse has handled not only dirt, but Keeneland dirt when he just got a perfect trip to win his maiden race 2 starts back. Kent DeZormo was so patient and shot up the rail at the right time, and this horse did the rest. Last time out, this horse was part of a 3-4 ply pace battle through a driving rainstorm and was just better than those horses at 3-2. I'm expecting some tactical speed, if not outright speed, but there are other speeds in here.
Yeah, I guess that's the real problem. Even if you liked him in this race and felt like, stretching out, he gets to the front and he's really dangerous, I feel like there's a lot of pace that he's going to have to deal with in here, and that's going to work against him. So far, I like all of his races, but what he's done doesn't really make him that competitive in here. And as you say, each of the first 3 foals from his dam can all run, but they don't really want to go that far.
The number 3 is Sueno. Keith DeZormo won this race last year with My Boy Jack, I believe it was. And it's interesting that My Boy Jack used the Sham, the Southwest, and the Louisiana Derby as the same 3 preps. My Boy Jack.
Love that.
Getting into the Grade 3 Lexington. So the same 3 preps, and My Boy Jack ran well in all those preps, as did Sueno. I thought Sueno had the same trip as Long Range Toddy in the Southwest 2 starts back, where they were sort of both locked in behind horses, while the long shot winner Super Steed made this big wide move in the clear. And by the time both Sueno and Long Range Toddy got clear, it was just too much to make up that tactical advantage that Super Steed had built up. Now in the Louisiana Derby last time out, he set a pretty good trip. He was just tracking the pace. He made the lead turning into the stretch, and he looked a little bit flat. Maybe a mile and an eighth was too far for him.
Yeah, it certainly could have been. If nothing else, if you like him in this race, I guess you sort of have to lean that way. That maybe it was it just pushed his limits a little bit. Overall, I just thought he got a really good trip in that race. I don't love that race overall. Not only was he just tracking the pace there, he was tracking a 60-1, like a total no-hoper. He took the race over, and to me anyway, he was just no match when the 1-2 finishers came for him. I was disappointed in his last race. Maybe the shorter distance works really well for him here. I think in a lot of ways he could be considered the horse to be in here, but I don't know, man. I don't really trust him off that last one.
I think he's a little bit of a sleeper because I think as the prime pursuer last time out, he was at least doing a little bit of chasing. I see what you mean. You're supposed to put that 60-1 away and open up on that field and not get run down by a 90-1 shot or whatever by my standards was. But I like him if he's covered up. And I think Corey Lanerie, in a race with speed, he's going to let the speeds go and he'll be sitting in mid-pack. The horse they're all going after beats the morning line favorite, the number 4, Another Twist of Fate, who backed up his dominant performance on Tapeta in the El Camino Real Derby with a very gritty effort on dirt in the Grade 3 Sunland Derby. That race was at a mile and an eighth. He was part of a quick pace early. I liked how he responded to the jock's command and was able to rate off for those 2 horses. Now, he was on hold a little bit on the far turn, but once he angled out 3 wide to split, he had his chances, and he was firing in the stretch. I actually think a mile and 60 might be a little short for him, but this horse is way the horse to beat off his last 2 figs.
Yeah, I think, and it was nice. Look, even if you look at the Sunland Derby and say, run that horse down if you're going to be a true Derby kind of horse, you know, maybe, maybe not. I thought he ran well last time, and you know, if you believe in figures, I think we both believe in figures. He showed that he's every bit as good on dirt last time as he is on synthetic. I thought he ran well enough in the Sunland Derby to be a handful in a race like this.
His last two figures are better than anything the rest of the field has ever earned in their careers. The 5 is Harvey Wallbanger, tale of two pace scenarios in his 2 Derby preps this year. In the Holy Bull, he could not have gotten a better setup. A wicked fast pace, a beautiful ground-saving trip and ride by Brian Hernandez, and voila, you're cashing at 30-1. Last time out in the Florida Derby, it was the polar opposite. He has no pace whatsoever, he's widest turning into the stretch, and he just can't win with that situation. The good news is he's going to get a better pace scenario, I would think, this time around, and I think a little bit of class relief as well.
Yeah, it seems like this race is just going to set up a lot better for him. So we'll see if he can revert back to the run he made in the Holy Bull and be closing late in this race and maybe get there again. We'll see what happens, Dan. I do think he's going to have to improve. He's going to have to run even better than he ran in the Holy Bull, even if he gets a similar trip that the one he got that day. Big excuse for the last race. I guess the real question is the Holy Bull as good as it looks? Because the trip was so good.
Right, you rate him off the Holy Bull, that's his best race. Yeah. You don't rate him off the Florida Derby. Now he has to prove that race isn't a fluke. The 6 is Chase the Ghost, and Dallas Stewart is keeping the faith, although he was beaten in the Lecomte and the Risen Star, both at gigantic odds. I really couldn't find much of an excuse in the Risen Star. He was saving ground, he got into the stretch, and while he was bounced around significantly in the stretch, I thought he was one-paced at that point.
Yeah, I did too. I didn't really see the big excuse for him in either of his last 2 starts. He's just going to have to take a big step forward if he's going to be competitive here.
Stewart does have good numbers, though, with these kind of horses. The past 2 years, 3-year-old dirt routers off a 45 to 60-day layoff, 5 of 7 on the board, 777 ROI. This horse skipped the Louisiana Derby, and it looks like he has responded with a couple of fast workouts. The 7 is Knicks Go, and Knicks Go was the Cinderella story when he won the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity over this course and distance at 70-1, and then backed it up when finishing second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile at 40-1. And we take a look at the Timeform U.S. pace projector, and they're expecting Knicks Go to make the lead one more time. Now, has the Cinderella story turned back into a pumpkin? Because the last 3 races have not been good. You can make excuses for all 3 of those races. The Kentucky Jockey Club chasing a very fast pace on a wet track. Sam F. Davis, first start of the year, may not have been cranked up. Gotham last time out, very good field, wickedly fast pace.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly has an excuse for the last one. Doesn't mean that he ran well, because he didn't. But
he was eased.
That pace was really fast, and he was actually showing speed from the start. They just went too fast for him. He couldn't keep up with it, and he just backed through that field. To me, anyway, he's really, really tough to take in this race, especially when you see that pace projector and you feel like he could get hooked up again. You know, maybe he'll turn it around here, Dan, but I'm not betting on it.
Do you see a situation where maybe the jockey on Zenden, the 9, the other speed, is saying, listen, I'm worried about my ability to get the distance. Let Knicks Go go. I'm better than he is on the paper he is right now. And maybe Knicks Go steals off to a clear lead turning into the stretch.
That's how horses pull off upsets when they get to the front, because other guys don't respect their speed. It could happen in this race with Knicks Go. We'll see if he can turn it around.
Good company line out of that Gotham, even though he didn't fire. High Call 3rd in the Wood with a 91. Mind Control won the Bayshore with a 97. Instagram 3rd in the Santa Anita Derby with a 95. I think the 8 Owendale has a sleeper's chance in this race, Mike, because when he's good, he's pretty good. Yeah. And we've shown the Indiana Grand Maiden special weight on Out of the Gate a few times where he was blocked, but once he had a hold, he shot on through with an explosive late burst, and he earned a nice fig and looked good, winning 2 starts back, albeit over a wet track. Last time out in the Risen Star, he ended up 5 wide on the backstretch, very wide on the turn, but I thought he was all done 3 furlongs from home. I understand a wide trip, and you may want to give him an excuse for that, but he has to do at least some running.
I agree with you. You know, the trip was far from perfect, but he never looked like he was going to be a factor in there, and he wasn't. I did think his races 2 and 3 back were pretty good. I thought he ran well in both of those. He was improving at that time. You could always give a horse like him a pass for one race, and now they come back to a spot. This might be a little bit easier for him. I don't know if it's that much easier. It might be a little easier, though. This horse, at a price, you could use this
He
horse.
fits with these horses. I would certainly consider him on the bottom of exotic wagers at the very least. Zenden, the number 9, he might actually be faster than Knicks Go, and it's going to be very interesting to see how his new rider, Tyler Gaffalione, plays the break. Now, he broke from post 11 in the Tampa Bay Derby, and he had to run and gun from out of there, and he had to go very fast in order to clear off to the rail. That being said, he was still in there holding the lead at the 3/16 pole. He was very, very late to change leads. That's a trait that he has. No match for Tacitus, who flattered the race, coming back to win the Wood with a 97 buyer. But considering that he was part of that wicked pace and still hanging around at the end, it was a good performance. I'm still a little dubious about his ability to get this distance.
Me too. Listen, I don't know if he can run that race again, but he ran great last time in the Tampa Bay Derby. You know, having post 11 obviously forced his hand. Sammy Camacho just fired him from the gate. He went a really fast pace. You could just tell by the time they got to the stretch, he didn't have anything left when the closers came for him. But it's not like he completely folded up his tent. He kept trying to race on. That was a really good performance. I don't know if he can do it again, Dan. He's got post 9 again, though. He's outside again. I think they just send him and see what happens.
Ryland, the number 10, took advantage of that fast pace in the Grade 2 Risen Star. He was picking up some horses late to run third. Last time out in the Louisiana Derby, I don't think the race is as bad as it looks on paper. He was saving some ground. He was down inside. He was running on at the end.
Yeah.
He just wasn't as good as those horses on that day, but he has paired up Buyer tops, and he does have the right running style for this race. He's another horse that I could see maybe picking up some pieces late at a nice price.
Yeah, I mean, if the pace is fast, he should be running into it late, and we'll see, you know, if he can get a big piece of it or just a little piece of it. You know, to me, the best race he's run is the Risen Star 2-back. But when you go back to that race, I mean, he was given a perfect closer's trip in that race. He wound up getting third without ever looking like he was going to win. I'm just not sure how good this horse is.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 3 Lexington Stakes. You've been blown away by the 4 Another Twist of Fate. He's got the big fig edge. He's got the tactical speed. He switches to Javier Castellano. Javier can do whatever he wants with this horse. I think this pace is going to be probably as fast as it was in the Sunland Derby, which was pretty quick, and he showed he could stay up close and still finish.
Yeah, I mean, I just went logical in here with the 4 and the 3. I just didn't really see the alternatives to the 2 favorites here, and I do think Another Twist of Fate's a good horse.
You're going 4, 3, 9, and 5. I'm going 3, 4, 9, and 10. I liked Sueno's run in the Southwest 2 starts back, and I wonder if he just needs to be covered up to finish and maybe a turn back to a mile and a 16th. He's 5 to 1 on the morning line. I unfortunately think he gets bet down to around 7 to 2 come post time, but I'll take him slightly over Another Twist of Fate while using both of them in multis. Again, it's Mike going 4, 3, 9, 5. I'm going 3, 4, 9, 10. In the Grade 3 Lexington. You're going to want to bet that with a DRF Bets account, as well as race number 1, because you get your first post bonus. You know the drill. Bet 25 to win on 1 horse in race number 1 at Keeneland and or Oaklawn on Saturday. Get a $10 bonus. DRF Bets, ready, set, bet. Approximate post time for the Lexington, 5:34 Eastern on Saturday. Best of luck.